Good morning, and good morning. Wow, how you doing? I'm doing good. A little sunny here in Florida, um, but I'm anticipating a nice day. I wish it would rain. I'm tired of turning on that water. I wanted some water from above, but I don't have any, so I have to go out there and water my plants in a little bit. But how was your weekend? Did you have a good time? Did you rest? Did you read? Did you write? Did you go to church? What'd you do? What'd you do? I did some all of that. I read a little bit, wrote a little bit, and then I went to two church services yesterday, which was good. I'm kind of behind in my posting. I usually try to post an after service little section, and I didn't do that yet. I'm going to do that after today's word. And today's word is confidential. I have to tell you the reason. I'm going to set it up a little bit for you as to how I came up with confidential. I'm going through this thing now where I'm shredding, paperwork and getting rid of a lot of just information that I've accumulated over the years, and I no longer need it. And so I bought myself a scanner, which I think I told you about, and so I'm scanning it into the cloud, and and the shredder is shredding. So I'm actually having a moment of understanding who I am, but also understanding what I need to get rid of so other people do not discover who I am. And that's in regards to, money, transactions, things that are no longer necessary. But of course, they said a lot of times people can go through your garbage and learn something about you. But you know, they may just find out that I eat a lot of salads and carrots and all kinds of fruit. They may find that out. They may also find out that occasionally I love, not just like, but love popcorn. So other than that, we're good. But this morning I was, after doing some of that shredding and scanning yesterday, um, I woke up this morning thinking I needed to do, something else, and I said, you know what? And I was listening to the TV, and the TV sometimes comes right in, and like God just delivers stuff to me as a carrot. And it was talking about our own identity, and that with identity theft, we really need to be careful. That we really do need to go about shredding stuff and getting rid of stuff. Now, the other day, I tried to figure out what went wrong with me not being able to see, and I know some people are already looking, but I don't see any comments. So if you're there, just comment on, and if you, oh, good, thank you, Erica, because I couldn't see anybody last Friday, and that was upsetting me because I thought that was a great discussion last week that I was having with myself. Today I'm going to have the discussion again, but it's about, just realizing that, having the forethought to be confidential when you're with your information is vital. It is just vital. So this morning on television, it was talking about how, people are able to now find an old check of yours and have the check where it's really been reissued by them. They use your signature, but somehow they're able to make the check look real. And then the banks are actually cashing them. That's crazy. That says that, and they said, at one time there were 50 billion checks being processed and in a year's time, 50 billion. Last year, they said it was down to 10 billion. So, the disappearance of 40 billion certainly suggests that in probably another, 3 to 5 years, checks will, and maybe even two, checks will probably be of non existence, just not there anymore as an option. So, how do we keep ourselves safe from people who might steal from us? How do we keep ourselves safe? Good morning, Joan. I don't know. I don't know how we keep ourselves safe, except, we try to be vigilant on paying attention to what information actually gets out in our trash. So anything with my name on it, I'm going to bring it in the house. Yes, I am. And I'm going to try to shred it. And so I've been doing that, but just realizing that I still had some that was, sitting around in my file cabinets that I'm going through and saying, wait a minute, got to go, got to go, got to go. So, we have to be vigilant in making sure that we take care of who we are. Hi, good morning, Adelia. How are you? How are you, Joan and Erica? Good morning, and good morning. So I found this little poem about theft, and it says identity theft. And he says, and it kind of is a play on words, but also a twisty turny kind of thing. Good morning, Miss Rosie. And it says, it says identity theft, and you do your thing, and I do my thing, and you are you, and I am I. Then comes our thing, and our thing takes everything. Then I am you, and you are me, and we are we. They said that's how identity theft takes place. All of a sudden, your identity kind of melds into somebody else's identity, which is really yours. But after a while, it gets confusing as to who owns the identity. Pretty crazy, huh? Good morning, Cheryl. Pretty crazy, but let's face it. This is a cruel world we're in. People are intentionally trying to take what you've earned, what you've worked hard for, what belongs to you. And if you don't protect it, if you don't look at it being something that is yours, and being cavalier about throwing out paperwork that may have, and sometimes it might be long, like once you pay off something, you become a part of the loan patrol. They send things to your house from once you paid off something. Your name is sold to other businesses. And then you're on that list that you receive. And because your name is on the list, therefore, every day you can go to your mailbox and pick up, hey, we got your name from, they don't tell you where they got it from, but we got your name and we want you to buy this, purchase this, come here, do that. And we don't realize that just to throw it in the garbage is not good enough. Got to shred it. Got to get rid of it. Your name shouldn't be out there, especially if it has other information on top of it that says, good morning, good morning, Tebow. That's my buddy. Y'all, that's Tebow. Tebow is okay. Love Tebow. Tebow and his wife, Audrey. I hope you guys are doing well. But anyway, we have to look at our identity and make sure that it remains to be our identity, not someone else's. Our business does not belong to someone else or in someone else's mouth. So anyway, when I look at the word confidential, even the picture that I found this morning showed, a file cabinet, which is what I was in. Good morning, Carolyn. How are you? Good to see you. You are right. Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you, Carolyn. Thank you, Cheryl. Oh, everybody. So when you open up your file cabinet, there's your information, okay, sitting there boldly. Said, oh, she had a loan here and she did this and she did that. Your business, even that, and a lot of times we don't lock everything in our house and people may come in. Okay, we don't pay attention. How many people have let people into their little bathroom and they have aspirin and they have other things in there? They'll need to know your business, So confidential means the things that belong in your personal space should be away from the open eyes of others, because people are nosy. They're interested in knowing what you do, what you have, where's the money, where's the medicine, where's the this, the that. They're interested. They want it. Let's see, what is Cheryl saying? You are right. Very cruel world. Yes, customers and takes. Yes, absolutely. And return receipts. Yeah, I do all of that. I shred receipts. I do it all. I didn't used to, but all of a sudden I thought that this was going to be all right. Happy Monday to you too, Carol. So I thought it was going to be fine, but then I paid attention, and I'm starting to pay even more attention, because the older we get, the more attentive we have to be to how we made our plans. What did we do? What did we do? Right and wrong. What do we need to correct while we're still able to do it? No one should have access, carte blanche, to your stuff. And so what is the word confidential? Okay, confidential says intended to be kept as a secret. It's between you and your bank, you and your whomever else. Maybe you have a 401, maybe you have a what do they call them? An IRA. You have something. You have something that says no one else needs to know that. Your home, your lender, all of that kind of stuff. They don't need to know your business. That's confidential. And confidential says it's going to be private. It's going to be personal, intimate, secret, quiet, meaning you don't have to tell everybody everything you know about yourself. It says it's sensitive information that you have about yourself. Restricted. Should other people have it? No, it's restricted. Who has access? Okay. Non-public and off the record. I don't want people to know, that I have $5.20, in my bank account. I don't need them to know that about me. All they need to know is that I'm still making it. That's it. When they see me, I'm still making it. Haven't asked them for $5.20. I'm good. But a lot of times we don't realize that we give access to our information by allowing people in our business. Your business is your business, okay? So we break the word down of confidential, and I'll ask you, have you occasionally been stuck? Are you stuck? Have you been stuck with information getting out of you? Have any of you ever been hit with identity theft? Anybody? You can write it in the thread there. So let's break the word down. So when we break the word down of confidential, my C, Sandy's C, Winnie's C, is classified. Classified. If you ever worked for the government in an area where you were given a classified status, that's right, Joan, it was carefully given, carefully dealt with, and you understood it. It was classified. That means it was restricted. It says, especially when you're looking at information or documents, it is designated by officially secret and to which only authorized people have access. That's the way we should look. That's how we should look at our lives. Not everybody should have access to you, not access to anything. And to me, when relationships form, they form in such a way that sometimes you may have people in that need to know more about you. Maybe your children, your spouse, maybe your parents, maybe even your grandchildren, if you have that kind of relationship going on with them. But you do it in such a way that you take care of your business. Good morning, Calithia. How are you doing, sweet lady? Good to see you in the space. Today our word is confidential. So I started out with saying that confidential is private, intimate, secretive, non-public. But also when we move to the first letter that I used in confidential is my C, I said it's classified. Classified is just that. It's secret, restricted, meaning not everybody should have access. Good morning. Good morning, Auntie. Thank you. Good morning. Auntie, it's your birthday. LOA. Yeah, right. No, but I'll say cheese. I will say that. So anyway, when we look at classified, says things are clandestine, unmonitored by others. You monitor it, but you don't let other people in your business to monitor what you're doing. Untold. To me, your story shouldn't be told to everybody. So it's an untold story. That's like I know some people that have passed away, and their story was they were always broke, but yet and still when they died, they were not. And it wasn't in a policy. They were from old school. They had gone through the Depression. So where'd they have their money? You guess it. But anyway, we also have for classified says it's something that should prevail, meaning you stick to your guns. Nobody needs to know your information. Your information is yours. It's personal and it's unannounced, meaning you're not going to say, hear ye, hear ye. You're not going to be the town crier standing up on a little block to announce to the world that I have X amount of dollars in the bank. I have this kind of policy on my house and this kind of policy. No one needs to know that. No one. Your business. That's your business. We move on in the word of confidential. We look at obligation. To me, you are obligated to take care of your own business. When you are cavalier and you give your business up to somebody else, guess what? People are all in your business. Okay, making sense, making nonsense, and sometimes leaving you senseless, meaning that they've stolen from you. Yes, organization. We need to be organized. That's a great word. That's a great word, organization. I didn't even think of that. I just was thinking about I'm obligated to take care of myself. So obligation says it's the act or course or action to which a person is morally, okay, or legally bound, a duty or commitment, meaning you have committed to taking care of yourself. And sometimes we have a tendency to give that commitment off to others. I need you to take care of me. You know, you're on my bank account. You're on my my 401. You know, and not saying they can get it without you signing for it, but sometimes they impose and basically imposter themselves as being the person in charge. And so next thing you know, your money is gone. And sometimes that means your livelihood, your way forward is gone only because they obligated themselves to an area where you de-obligated yourself. So obligation talks about the duty of it all, the commitment. I'm committed as long as I can, as long as my faculties are in place, that I'm going to take care of my business. It says also, obligation says there's responsibility. You've taken it on. You know, it might be weighted. It might hold you down. But guess what? I'd rather be held down to where I'm in control than to be loose with all my worldliness, my goods, my ideas, everything out there to everyone, you know, or to certain people having access that don't deserve it. So it also says obligation is a function that we should look at. It's a moral imperative, you know. It's an obligatory thing. It's business. We should sometimes look at our lives on the business front as well as the emotional front and then the physical front. But sometimes we have to start with, I have to be sound about how I work this, you know, how I look at what's next in the event of. So you have to put yourself in that. It says it's accountability, and then it's also engagement. We must be engaged with what it is that we're trying to do. How are we going to do it? When do we need to have it done? How long does it need to be in place? You know, I was talking to someone recently, and they were, you know, their parent, I think it might be their grandparent, may eventually need, you know, to be, you know, placed in a home. And I was saying, you know, read all of that. Read all the information that the home is requiring. Because sometimes there is a clause in there that says anything that the individual that's going into the home must be clear of any, you know, transfer of funds, property, or anything within a period of 5 years. Now, a lot of times we don't know that sickness may come and sickness may take us down quicker than 5 years came and went. Okay. But we may have just been doing something that was time to do. But yet and still, if sickness comes close onto the time in which the person has to go in, but the money's already been transferred, they may be calling on where the money is. And I know that for a fact when my mother passed away. But my mother didn't own anything. She didn't have any property. She didn't have anything like that. But those were all the questions I remember that were being asked of me. So sometimes we have to pay attention. So when we move on in the word of confidential, we talk about it being non-public. And non-public, not known or meant to be known by the general populace. I mean, everybody doesn't need to know your business. You don't need to broadcast what it is I have, what what I'm doing, where I'm going. It's so funny. I was looking at Facebook the other day, and it was showing, where these people were headed off to. Oh yeah, I don't care about you knowing that I'm eating breakfast at so and so's. That's fine. That's advertisement for them, especially if it was good food. Now, if it wasn't good food, But I mean, they were advertising that they were leaving the country, leaving the state. Okay, um, you got to be careful. Not everybody is interested in you leaving. They're worried more about when you coming back. The fact that you left and you're announcing that you're leaving, that gives them an opportunity to maybe, take charge. And so non-public. So when I'm leaving the country, I don't post that. No, I post when I'm not. Now I did have to post last year that I was in Australia because that was business. Okay, I did post that. But the other thing is you have to have the other precautions in place, such as do you have lights around your house, is your car parked in a place where it's safe in your absence? Also, have you really looked at what else you have going on in your space? Where else is it? Good morning, Rebecca. Amen. Thank you. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome. Necessary. Yes. Non-public also says, is it necessary that we take care of? I think we need to take care of ourselves, as even if we go into the store, looking after what I've left out, what's there in the house, I'm not going to leave something in here that if somebody has to come in because I'm sick or whatever, they can help themselves with it on their way out. I'm not going to do it, And if you find me in a position where I'm no longer conscious, well then excuse me. That just says something about you if you take something. But I mean, I've just seen it happen through the years where people say, when they've awakened from something, that something was missing. For instance, when my mother was in the nursing home, things just started disappearing, like her jewelry and her little money that we would leave there. And I'm saying, wait a minute now, wait. So I went I went to the facility and wrote them and told them that I'm looking for those things. They gave it back to me. They couldn't. They fired the person that they felt did it, or knew did it. I don't know if they confessed or it was caught on camera. I don't know. But ultimately, my money my money came back, and I was able to give my brother, who bought some jewelry for my mother, back to him. So sometimes you have to be vigilant, to go after folks. Good morning, Ro. Good morning, my sweet friend. How are you? Love you. So anyway, it is necessary that we look at how confidential we are in our actions that we do daily. Next in the word confidential, my F is for furtive. Furtive as in shady. You have to pay attention to the fact that even though people may be smiling at you, they are shady. They're going to shake you down every time you see them, even if you don't pay attention to them. They're intentional. They mean to do it. It says, given to acting in secret and concealing one's intentions. So sometimes you may be friends with people and they may be, very doting, very this, that, and the other. But things go missing. When things go missing, you say, wait a minute, I just had that there. I don't know what happened to that. Pay attention. Pay attention. Those aren't the people you want in your house or in your space. You don't want them. Flexible. Yes, Joan, sometimes we have to be flexible. I love you more. Knew I needed to hear this. Okay, that's right. Folks are shady. Yes, they are. Good topic. Thank you, yo. So anyway, when we really look at this word of being furtive, it says given to acting in secret and concealing one's identity. They're shady. They're sly. I like that word, sly. It says they're stealthy. You know what stealthy is? I always think of those stealth bombers. Nobody knows they're there, but all of a sudden they can appear. Stealth. Okay, sneaky, shifty. You ever met people who are shifty? Slippery, meaning that that they appear and then they disappear. They appear and disappear. Slippery. Clandestine. secretive, and willing to cheat. They are cheaters, you know. So you have to look at people who are furtive. That's Furtive, furtive. That's the word. Okay, that when we move further on in our word, and thank you all. I love all the communication there. My I in confidential is identity. We have to protect our identity. Who are we? Who are you? Who am I? Okay, it belongs to us. So it says it's distinguishing character or personality of an individual. Sometimes people come in with a smile, but really in their heart they have hatred for what they're about to do to you. No big deal to them. Big deal to you, because you may find out that you've lost a lot of things: sleep, money, appearance, just because they have been undercover, not in the best shape for you. Their identity you didn't know. And okay, initiate. Yeah, sometimes we do have to do that. We do have to initiate. We have to be conscious as to how we go towards people, and also how we receive people. We can't always say that everybody that comes to us deserves a smile and a hug and welcoming, that they would stay longer. Sometimes you need to check people out longer than 5 minutes, longer than five. And then to invite them into your home says that that's really special. A couple of years ago, I did a session on who would you invite. I'm going to do that again, but I want to do it as a Zoom. Who would you invite? I'm hoping to do it around Thanksgiving. Who would you invite to come have Thanksgiving dinner with at your table? Who would you invite? And the word would be table again. Who would you invite? And sometimes we don't even know, because and even if you do put family up there, I want you to identify the characteristics that may come, the personalities that may come, more so than the food that will be served. That's right. It says wolves in sheep's clothing individuals. That's right. Absolutely, Joan. Absolutely. Let's see. And, the word identity also deals with that. Make sure I'm staying on track. Is what is similar, what brings you together with them. Look at that. What makes the connection, the likeness, the conformity, because sometimes you conform to them instead of them conforming to you, or they may conform to you long enough to find out who you are, what you have, where it is, how they can get to it. Plain and simple. And then it talks about the homogeneousness of relationships. Sometimes we're very homogeneous until we find out that they really came in, like Joan was saying, as a sheep, but their intentions weren't good. We have to pay attention. We have to pay attention to how people approach us and what it is that they really want. Some people are coming to your lives as they're temporary. They're not meant to stay. But to me, I want them to leave with the intent and what they came in with. If that's what they came in with, I want them to leave with that. I don't want them to leave it here with me, or me feel that they're leaving, they stole something from me. I don't want that. I don't want that. My D in confidential was what damage is done. Let's face it. Sometimes people come in and they steal stuff. I was listening to on the television the other day where a family came. They were on television. They were talking about their daughter who had got hooked on drugs, and ultimately the daughter passed away from a drug overdose. Well, the people that came to pay concern and was willing to help the family and so forth and so on ended up staying in their property, and they eventually became squatters. Well, did you know that squatters have rights? Did you know that? And they said that if a squatter comes and they stay, or if a visitor comes and they stay too long, that you have to basically evict them. So they went down, they evicted them, they even turned off the lights and the water. the people still stayed. So these folks happened to go on vacation. See, I'd have still been messed up where I couldn't have gone on vacation, but they went on vacation. And when they came back, they left, the people had left, but many of their things left with them. Once again, okay, that's what people do when they've been allowed to get into the space of understanding that what was confidential, the daughter's death, what the family had, the fact that this was extra property and theirs, even though they owned it, these people came in and basically took what they could and left with what they wanted. They just did that. So the damage is talks about injury or harm that reduces value or usefulness. Let's face it, sometimes after people have left us, we feel that we've been damaged. We feel that we've taken a blow. There's been disruption in our lives. There's been corruption that took place, and we're devastated. There's harm or hardship after it, and there's suffering that goes on. Those are the ways that we understand that damage can be damaging. It's not an easy thing to say what you've been through until after you get over it. Okay? Sometimes we are too embarrassed to tell people what we've been through. But that becomes the story that can be told, because what we've been through sometimes is insurmountable. Like nobody can even believe it. But we make it through, and that's our story. That is our story. When we move on in the word of confidential, my E after D is evidence. What evidence do you keep? It says that which tends to prove or disapprove something, ground for belief and proof. So each time you deposit something in your bank account, do you keep proof? Do you lock it up in a safe? Do you, I used to be crazy, locking up absolutely all those things. Well, now I realize that the bank keeps track and that I have a tendency now to do everything online. I'm not a big check writer anymore. Every once in a while, I have to write a check because that's the way what I'm purchasing. That's the only way they can receive it. They don't have, Cash App or Zelle or just any way to a Square. That's what I was thinking of. They don't have any of those things. So that makes it antiquated now. That's why I say in another few years, I don't think checks will be available. But when we have things that we're looking at as evidence, we have to prove that what's ours is ours. And the only way that we can prove that is we keep track of what we have, where it is, and how safe it's under key or code that nobody can just have access to what it is. So we talk about the evidence being what clues do we have, what confirmation can we provide, what data can back up our or documentation. Because to me, sometimes we have to document what's already ours. Use a gel pen if you do write a check. That's right. A gel pen doesn't come out. Yeah, or permanent. Yes, that's that. I always use gel pens, Joan. So when something, when you're looking at this whole idea of documentation, it talks about what's indicated from that and what information can be gathered. So we as the owner of our evidence, we have to keep track of it. So we can't let everything that comes in be laying around, or we treat it as if it was just a quick transaction and it's over, but yet and still it's tied back into a bank account, a checking account, a savings account, a Christmas account, whatever it is that you do that makes it that becomes our vulnerability. So we have to pay attention. We move further on in our word of confidential. My N is that there should be a necessity that we really look at the fact of being required or indispensable, that we pay attention to what it is that's our business. Our business is our business. It shouldn't be anybody else's, period. It says it's essential, it's obligatory, it's intentional. It says it's also fundamental, okay? It's a prerequisite to us needing to go back later on. If we set things up originally as they should be set up, then we shouldn't have to go back. But if we have to go back, the reset should be better than the first thing that we had. You know, a will, a trust fund, or all of those things need to be set up so that that you've established a mark going forward. Um, and it says when you set things up that become necessities, it also should be urgency, urgency in how it's set up, meaning that you got on it, you did what you were supposed to do. Decisions, okay, and effectual. Yes, both of those are very good. They just came in, and I know I already covered those words, but thank you, Joan. Effectual. We need to make sure that we are effectual in what we're doing. When something becomes a necessity, that means we gotta make it like it's absolute. We can't stop not doing it. We must get it done. And sometimes when we're dealing with our business, it's dreadful because it may be what business will go on after we're no longer here. Those things are hard to deal with. No one wants to speak of death or dying or terminal illness, but yet and still eventually we're going to have to address our fate. And to me, I'd rather trying to address it now, as opposed to when I'm in that the throes of that, and I'm no longer as good as I am or as clear as I am now to do what needs to be done. So negotiate is great. That's a great word. Um, so anyway, we move on our word. So I'm moving right along. My T is for trustworthy. Who do you know that's trustworthy that you can share your information with? I'm hoping it's a spouse. It may be a child. You know, um, I was talking to someone earlier this morning. Yeah, I'm up early, and this after I exercised. But I came back and got myself together, and I was talking to someone, and I was telling them about a young lady that I knew whose parents were friends of ours and of my parents. They were old enough to be my parents, and I remember they adopted a daughter that they loved dearly, and the daughter was a sweet child, and I used to babysit her. Well, after a while, the mother became ill, and then the father became ill. But the father was taking care of the mother, didn't want the mother to know that he was sick. Well, he ended up passing away before the mother. Well, the mother ended up hearing stories from neighbors that lived near her. And the neighbors ended up talking her into taking all of her assets and everything that she had and signing it over to them, including the child. So sometimes we have to be very, very worried about how extensive our planning is. We have to plan it just in the event that we don't lose our mind and therefore our ability to do the right thing, because people will come along, and that's those same people I was talking about, those sneaky people, those people that are intentionally planning to do something negative towards you. That would be that furtive person, the person that what my mother used to say, sitting back in the cut, waiting for an opportune time. So sometimes we have to be, conscious of that. Evolutionary, that's good for that's a great evolutionary. The fact that we need to just come on out with it, be alive with it, really let that we are the ones that set it off. Thank you, Maurice. When someone is trustworthy, that means they are reliable. We need to be looking at reliability, dependability, uprightness, worthiness, trustworthiness, truthfulness, being ethical. Are they ethically straight, responsible, secure? See, to me, somebody told me this one time, you never leave your finances, your children, or anything of great value in the hands of people that are already struggling. I said it. If they're already struggling, that means the possibility that things won't be the things that you wanted them to be in the event of your demise. It just changes. It changes direction. It changes hands. It changes concept, only because they're needy. Okay. You're no longer there to refute any of that, stand in the middle of any of that, stop that. So be careful. So it says, so also we're looking at people who are responsible, people who are sound in their judgment, foolproof, meaning you don't have to worry about them. They're going to do the right thing. And then, of course, of all, is that everything will remain as safe as it was in your hands. That's what you want in a trustworthy trustee, or executrix or executor of your stuff. You want it to be that they were just as on top of things as you were. Technique, that's a real good word. Technique. How do we have, what techniques are being used? That's a good one. Now my I says that we all need to be intentional. And I know they've ramped that word up lately, and I think it's a wonderful word that should be praised in terms of the good things of what intent can mean. Sometimes people are intent of stealing. They're intentionally stealing from you. They're intentionally misrepresenting who they are. And they are really, furtive, waiting, shady, but in interaction. Okay, so you should know who it is. Thank you, John. You should know who it is that you're dealing with. So intentional says done on purpose, deliberate, cautious, and it says intended. So when we look at somebody that we may need to later on do some things for us and our ability to no longer to be able to do it, yes, we need to keep it confidential, but are they intentionally placed in a place where they're intentionally willing and able to do what you need done, what you can no longer do? Interaction is good. It says intentional means that it's planned, it's meant, it's been considered, it's knowing, and it's willful. And see, as long as that's in your favor, that's great. But then if you get somebody that can be just the opposite, that shady person that came in with a smile every day and a flower, but yet and still was stealing money or stealing things out of your house or whatever however that goes, then you understand how things change. How the intentional can be positive or it can be a negative, along the scheme of things. My A is accountability. Accountability. How many of us know accountability? Meaning that we're accountable for whatever we do, as someone else is accountable for whatever they do. And sometimes we are accountable because we think who we've selected is on point, and they may be, and sometimes we may never know. We may never know, especially for God. Appropriate. Ooh, great word. It makes sense that the person would be appropriate to do whatever needs to be done. But appropriateness also calls on us for us to do what we needed to be done when we set everything up. So it says I had accountability. It says the fact or the condition of being accountable and being responsible. It says being reliable, being answerably able to address anything that comes up towards whatever they've been left in charge of, or even for yourself, that you know what it is that you made decisions on and how they are to fall out. It also says looking at constantly keeping track of what the reporting process is, and then being obedient. If you know you need to do something, do it. Make it where it is a done deal, where you know the ins and outs, the ups and downs, but it's done. And my last word, yay! I always say my last word is a yay. My last letter is L. What would you write for L as we talk about confidential? Let's see if somebody came up with the same word that I did. Let me see. Legitimate, that's great. Legitimate, Let's see. Where's my friend Maurice? Mo, you got anything? Because you always have a great word. My word that I picked is logical. It says characterized or capable of clear sound reasoning, meaning that I'm not just talking about me being clear and sound, having clear and sound reasoning, but anybody else that comes behind me being clear on what it is that they need to do that makes it sound and that it's reasonable to be done. Sometimes what we have as an idea may be our idea, but we may need a planner. We may need somebody in talking to us on how we go forward, what we're coming up with. Okay. Legible and loyal. Okay. Loyal is really good. How do we come up with loyalty? How do we? We like to think that we have it. Sometimes we have it in spouses and partners, sometimes we do. Sometimes we may even have it in a child. It's so interesting though, because I've been around families and have counseled families where the children have very diverse approaches to what needs to be done. Just totally different from each other. Raised by the same parents, but totally different. Where one might be willing to get rid of money, and the other one is just the opposite. No, we have to hold on to money. One might be willing to sell off the property, and the other one says no, that's part of our heritage. Our lineage is in that property. We don't need to sell it off. So it's those kinds of things. But logical is what I can characterize by capable of clear and sound reasoning, meaning that we're looking at how rational are people. Sometimes we might be rational when we do it, and then later on become unrational when we have people in our ear telling us we need to change things, where the real rational portion came in and worked when we originally did it. Logical also talks about it being valid and clear, and sometimes understanding the systematic approach that must be applied in order for us to do what we do, making sure that we've, taken care of if, that if is the crooked letter, the if of everything. If, if I'm not able, if I am able, if I'm partially able, those kinds of things. Logical also talks about it being orderly, who's in place, who's in charge. Methodological, and then consistent. What do we do? How do we do it? What method do we use? What method do we use? So anyway, I know the word was longer today than what I'm used to. I usually try to stay between, 5 and 7. I stopped doing the real small words. Occasionally, though, I have to come up with an if, because if is just, to me, it's a wonderful word, because it always has possibilities of it being more good or more bad, or less good and less bad, all that kind of stuff. But anyway, I'm going to be back on Wednesday with another word. I appreciate every single one of you for coming in here with me and, chopping down words, adding words to your vocabulary, but also getting you to think how connected words can have you with understanding more about yourself and about others, having conversations with children and some old adults that might be forgetting something. But listen, we are here. I'm going to be here again, as I said, on Wednesday. I look forward to seeing you in the space. If you don't do anything else, you don't have to give me any money, but I would love it if you would hit that share button and let this lesson be shared with others. I love you guys. Appreciate you so much. And I'll see you on Wednesday. Have a good 2 days. And look, think about things being confidential. And so you don't have to say, are you stuck, with a yes to that? Okay. Bye-bye.